The last couple of weeks, we kind of looked at Christianity, and we looked a little bit at parables, and um, both of those have a little bit to do with Christianity and the Talmud and how how that plays out in history, and how that definitely plays out in Jewish consciousness, how that still gets to us. We're going to do that today a little bit at the maybe at the towards the end. But today I wanted to show you a really famous text of the Talmud, which I think actually does relate to what we're going on now, what's going on now, which is the Jewish value of life, and why in the midst of war, even we have to understand that we have a different view of it, and it affects us, um, and it's one of the reasons why you know I wasn't even going to mention this. I wasn't even going to bring this up, but in of the 24 people that have already been killed in Israel in the last week, there was a story about one family that was killed in the war, which really upset people because it was children that died in the attack, in the Iranian attack. And I am going to tell you because I want you to see this with your own eyes. Um, you might have seen this story, so if you did, I don't want you to see it now. This is one of the places that it was reported. This was a family that was wiped out. And again, there were individuals that were killed throughout the war in the last week. And there are individuals that have been killed throughout the war for the last 621 days. But this family was hit in their Arab Israeli town of Tamra outside of Haifa, and this missile hit their home, right? And these people were killed in this attack. And again, these were not Jews. These were not Jewish people. These were Arab Israeli Christians. Okay? And I'm telling you this right now because in Israel, it didn't matter. All right? It didn't matter because all of the people of Israel said was that 4 of our citizens had been killed. They didn't say 4 Christians had been killed. They didn't say 4 Arabs had been killed. They said that 4 of their people had been killed. But I want you to know this because I knew it when I saw the names. I knew this. And there were, obviously, this source, reported that they were Christian, but yeah. So, yeah, that happened in just in the last couple of days. So it gets to this issue, and this is a very famous text, and you've heard it before, but you maybe even knew it was in the Talmud because you've been told that this is in the Talmud, but you're going to see the context, the full context of where this line comes from. And you'll see what's around it, which is just as beautiful and just as powerful. But this comes from the tractate Sanhedrin, which is about legal cases. And Sanhedrin in particular is about how to create a court, how to create a Sanhedrin, how to create a court for civil law and for criminal law. And it's filled with laws and about how to enforce law and how to create a court. So it's an interesting thing for lawyers to read Sanhedrin. I mean, the whole section of the Talmud that it comes from is all about. It's called Nezikin. It's damages. It's all about different criminal and civil law. But this tractate in particular is really about how do you create the court? How do you actually establish and form a court? How many judges do you need? Because remember, in Jewish law, you don't have a jury of your peers. You have a tribunal, right? You have a Beit Din. You have at least 3 judges, And then for a capital case, it could even go up to 81. Yeah, it could get in the eight. You have to have odd number in case of a vote, right? A split vote. But yeah, it can be in the 80s. And so they also talk about, again, how do you bring in witnesses? And so this text, the original text here, I'll go back even to the Mishnah, to the actual line from the Mishnah, from the section, the original code, which the Gemara will then continue on. Where does it start? Wait, I must start right away. Oh, anyways, I'll start reading it. So how does the court intimidate the witnesses in giving testimony for cases in capital law? They would bring in witnesses and intimidate by saying to them, perhaps what you say in your testimony is based on conjecture, or perhaps it's based on rumor. Perhaps it is testimony based on hearsay. For example, you heard a witness testify to this in a different court, or perhaps it's based on a statement of a trusted person. Perhaps you do not know that ultimately we examine you with inquiry and interrogation, and if you are lying, your lie will be discovered. Now, you just read this translation says, how do you intimidate a witness? It's not necessarily the best translation, but it is essentially, how do you force a witness to tell the truth? The word in Hebrew is ma'ayamin. How do you make them say amen? How do you make them be truthful? How do you get them to say the right thing? That's the truth, right? How do you stop them from lying, essentially? So intimidating is maybe not the best translation. We don't have a good word for it in English, but maybe how do you force truth out of a witness from the Adim? Especially in cases al yedei nefashot, in capital cases, in cases that deal with death and and with the ones that the nefesh, right? A life and a soul is at stake, right? So we basically tell them all the things that could happen if you're wrong, and well, first we tell them all the ways that they could be wrong, in the sense that you really don't know what happened. You heard it, you didn't really see it. Again, it's a rumor. You think this is what happened, and then you tell them this. Then you tell them the consequences. The court tells them, you should know that cases of capital law are not like cases of monetary law. In cases of monetary law, a person who testifies falsely, causing money to be given to the wrong person or the wrong party, can give the money to the proper owner and his sin is atoned for. So if you lie in a monetary case and we find out you lie, you just pay. You'll pay a penalty. You'll pay the penalty. But in cases of capital law, if one testifies falsely, the blood of the accused and the blood of his offspring that he did not merit to produce are ascribed to the witness's testimony until eternity. You are responsible for the blood of that person, and not just that person, but all the people that would have come out of that person. Yes.
Things that I don't think a lot of people realize is that I don't know about these ancient times, but in the past, I'm talking about England in the 15th, 16th, 17th century, and other places, all crimes were capital crimes. There was no distinction.
Yeah.
So if you stole a horse, you'd be hanged.
Yeah.
If you, the same as murder. It was not refined. I don't know what it was like back then, but that's the way it was for a long time. Yeah.
Well, that's not in Jewish law. Jewish law was there are monetary law, there are monetary cases, and then there are life and death cases.
Time, your neighbors.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, no, there's no execution for monetary crimes. So Jewish law holds money for money, life and death for life. So, but here's the issue, right? So you're responsible for their blood. That blood becomes your blood, right? And the proof for this, they said, is with the story of Cain and Abel. We found this with Cain. who killed his brother, as it is stated concerning him. This is in the Talmud, by the way. This is not a midrash. This is in our law code. The voice of your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. The verse does not say your brother's blood in the singular, but your brother's blood, plural. So the word in Hebrew for blood, you know it. We take it out at the beginning of the plagues. It's dam. Dam, right? We say dam, tzfardea, right? Dam is blood. Dam is the singular for blood. It means, and by the way, think about it. We have a singular word for blood in England, in English, and it's blood. We don't say bloods for we say bloods and crips, crips exactly. But blood is a singular word, right? It's like deer. The plural is the same, so we don't have a word for it. Hebrew actually has a word for blood, plural, which is damim, and the word for damim, when we say your brother's blood, it says your brother's damim. It says dame, which is the plural, right? So dame, achi dame, your brother's blood. It doesn't say blood, dam achi. It says dame achi, your brother's bloods. And the rabbis derive from that, right? Right? This serves to teach us that the loss of his brother's blood and the blood of his brother's offspring are ascribed to Cain. The Mishnah notes alternatively the phrase your brother's blood, written in the plural, teaches that the blood was not gathered in one place but was splattered on the trees and on the stones. So there's another explanation, which the blood wasn't all in one place. The blood was everywhere, and that was like told the story of what Cain did, which was this wasn't an accident. There was blood everywhere. But they also are saying, no, look at the plural. The plural really teaches us, and you wonder, like, why did they say the other thing? Because there is another tradition. But there is this tradition that the blood plural was all of the people that came out of Cain. Now, you and I know what that means, out of Abel. You and I know what that means because Abel and Cain and Abel are the first two people, right? And so if Cain hadn't killed Abel, there'd be twice as many people in the world right now because every other person is descended from Cain. And actually then the other son that they have, whose name is Seth, which is our ancestor, but there is this other brother essentially that's born to make up for him. But how many more people that would there have been if there was a third brother? So maybe there'd be 30% more or whatever. But there'd be a whole nother line of people if Abel hadn't been killed. And so the understanding is that, look, if you kill one person, you kill everybody else who comes after them, right? Right? And then this is the line, my friends. The court tells the witnesses, therefore, Adam, the first man, was created alone to teach you that with regard to anyone who destroys one's soul from the Jewish people, of course, again, it's not just the Jewish people. We're going to get to that in a second. If you kill one Jew, the verse ascribes him blame as if he destroyed an entire world, as Adam was one person from whom the entire population of the world came forth. And conversely, anyone who sustains one soul from the Jewish people, the verse ascribes him as he sustained an entire world. Now, why do you know that line? You all remember that line, right? You heard that line. What's it from, somebody? You saw it in a movie. Oh, come on. You all saw this in the movie. Anybody? Somebody. Stop it. Anybody? No. Somebody. I want somebody to tell me the movie that it's from. Can somebody tell me? Okay, I'm going to show you.
We've written a letter trying to explain things in case you were captured. Every worker has signed it.
Thank you.
Hebrew from the Talmud, it says, whoever saves one life saves the world entire.
So that scene literally says it's from the Talmud. That doesn't happen a lot. We're going to quote the Talmud here for you. So this is the line. Now, again, it says here in this initial thing, thanks. We're going to get you in. Yes, it's Miranda. So we've got this amazing line from the Talmud that says, again, if you save one. Now, again, Adam and Eve, and Adam, the first man, was not Jewish. He was the ancestor for everybody. So you're going to say to yourself, "Oh, only if you save a Jew, you've saved the entire world." No, but of course, these were Jewish courts, and they're talking about somebody from within Israel. Now, to my point, if you think I'm making this up or making this nicer for us, no, because look at the next section. So again, if you save a life, it's as if you saved the whole world. Because if you saved Adam,